Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi there. It's so great to be here. Thank you, Gertrude. My name is Adrienne Arieff. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, in the sunny Hollywood Hills, and I'm really excited to be here and share my story about what is now called the Next Chapter Collective, which is actually launching Sunday for Mother's Day. So the timing is really, really great with this. So I'm going to take you back on a short story, if you'll indulge me. A couple years ago, I had this fancy job. I was working at a creative studio in Los Angeles, running a team of 20 people, doing all the things and stuff. And all of a sudden, after many years of a fantastic career in brand marketing, I was told that I was laid off. And not that that doesn't happen to a lot of people. It does happen. And I had seen the writing on the wall that this could be a potential, but it doesn't make it any easier. So I get laid off, kind of hang out for a week or two thinking, oh, I'm going to relax before I start my new job search. I'm going to figure this out. So another few weeks pass. By this time, I've sent out a bunch of resumes, had a bunch of coffees, and this is over about a 1-month period. And I think I maybe had 40 coffees or Zoom calls with people, just trying to get out there and remind people that I'm alive and I'm not just this woman that disappeared in midlife, that I've had this 20-year career in marketing and communications and public relations, and I'm excited to get back in it and all those things. So nothing much was happening. I'm taking you into like month 4. I'm looking for the job. I'm looking for consulting. Everyone's telling me all these nice things. Nothing was really happening. So I applied for unemployment and decided that I did not want my ego to get in the way, that I am a regular person. I've gotten laid off. I'm looking for a new role. I'm a 54-year-old woman, and this just happens to everyone. So I'm convincing myself. I join a pickleball team. I'm like this terrible cliche of just this woman trying to find a job in midlife, playing pickleball and, baking bread. So that was me. So then all of a sudden, I get this incredible email. And this is after sending out many resumes, the calls, as I mentioned. And I get this email, and it says, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but let's just say it was this very exciting company to me. And they said they want to interview me. So I get the Calendly link, I put in my information, and then I prep for hours for this first interview. And I of course glamorize it. I fill in this narrative that this is my next thing. I give this value to this job that I haven't even gotten the job offer, but I've already given it so much value that it's my next job. I was manifesting hard. I was in it, but I hadn't even met all the character. I haven't met all my new colleagues potentially. They haven't given me an offer. So I was very much way ahead of myself. So I'm waiting on the call. Then my entire screen goes black. And then I can't turn my computer back on. And then I immediately go on my phone to contact the recruiter, and then my phone goes dark. Turns out that I wasn't at all recruited for a job. It was a hacker. It was someone that broke into my computer, my email system, and I had been hacked. What proceeds over the next 48 hours is my bank account, my credit cards, everything has been hacked. So at this moment, as I'm already a bit down looking for my next gig, thinking this was my new life, but it wasn't even a real job, it was just a hacker, I'm feeling really, really fragile, stupid, that I made such a dumb decision, that I maybe didn't do a little bit more research, because when I looked at the URL, I'm like, oh, well, it's not the name of the company. It does look, but it did seem a little nefarious in retrospect. But anyway, at that moment, I realized I need to make a change. I've now spent months networking, sending out resumes, and now I've had this fake call that didn't exist. My computer has now been hacked. I've had to close my bank account, close all my credit cards, get new credit cards. It was just such an ordeal. But when these things happen, you have to start repositioning yourself. And so it became abundantly clear. Do I cry? Yes, I did cry. But do I just go under a rock and not deal? Or do I start to reframe? And my conversation today is so much about reframing more than reinventing. So I decided, all right, something has to give, something has to change. So that was this aha moment when I, in my way, hit a bit of I don't know if it was a rock bottom, but it felt pretty close to one to me. I felt no one was paying attention to me. I wasn't getting any of the jobs, the interviews. I just kind of was getting a lot of, oh, you're great, good luck to you. You need to upskill. Maybe you should retire. So I was getting a lot of feedback that wasn't feeling good. And I felt like I really needed to reframe. So what did I do? I started to really think about my life and what was working. So I literally workshopped it for myself, like what's working, what's not working, pros, cons, and really thinking, how do I redesign my life? How do I maybe not rebrand, whatever, but just reframe and redesign what's working, what's not working. Who do I need to get rid of? Who do I need to not have be such a priority in my life? What companies would potentially want to hire me and why? So I literally drafted my life on paper. And it really helped for me personally to see my life on papers. How do I show up personally? How do I show up professionally? What has worked for me? What hasn't worked for me? What types of people do I like to work with? What are my interests? What do I like now versus what did I like 10, 20 years ago? My definition of who I am now is no longer who I am today. And that really helped me get clear that I was doing it all wrong. I was trying to recreate what I had. So as soon as I started to understand in this reframe, it's not about what I had, it's about who I am today and what do I do with that. And that really started to help me think about the Next Chapter Collective and what is officially the Next Chapter Shift program launching this weekend on Mother's Day, is how do I help other women when they're going through a career pivot, when they've been laid off, fired, their kids have gone to college, they've gone through a divorce, how do they reframe their life? How do they get their mojo back? What does that look like? So I decided, based on what I did and what worked, to create a new framework for other women going through their next chapter in their personal life, in their professional life. And just what I also learned even from this framework is just being really kind to yourself during these moments, because it's hard. And I'm not going to say it was easy for me, because it wasn't. But in this reframe, I was able to land my quote, I don't know if it's my dream job, but it's a job that I love. I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. They're an East Coast based company. Never, ever woken up at 6 a.m. every day. Am so excited to start those days with this new role. And it's been such a treat. And I can't wait to share this framework with other women.
Absolutely amazing. You know, when I listen to your story, it just reminds me of chapters in my life when I've had to reinvent myself. We do have to know that who you were 10 years ago isn't who you are now. And that sometimes change forces you to reevaluate where you're at and to make you make these big decisions. So why do you believe so many women struggle with reinvention in midlife?
Well, ageism is real, and we need to represent. And it starts popping up in midlife because there are a lot of younger executives with AI, with industries evaporating, that can do your role and can do it perhaps better, maybe not. That's up for debate. But they're either less expensive, or for whatever reason, they become the more desirable consultant or hire. There are all these wonderful things happening now with fractional work for women in midlife that just want to work part-time. They want to be a consultant. They want to work for a company part-time. So there are some wonderful trends I'm seeing that make me really happy on the future of work. But it is tough. I mean, in midlife, it happens because we've had a 30 plus year career and things have changed. People are ready to just begin.
So how do identity shifts impact women emotionally and professionally during these transition periods?
Well, they obviously manifest in very different ways, but they it just kind of happens, and you don't ever plan for it. You don't, I mean, I never thought, when I heard women in midlife tell me that ageism was real, or that your definition of your career or fun or love or life changes, I was like, yeah. Because until you're in it, you just don't know. So this is not something we pre-prepare for. But what I can tell you is that when it does happen, there are a lot of us out there that now have been through it and can help. But I just think there's a lot that people can do. I use this word reframing. I really believe in that. That can also just be a type of meditation, or like a breath work, like a 10-second deep breathing, whatever works. There are so many tools now to get yourself back to a place where, when you are starting this next chapter, you feel like you're coming from a healthy place and not a place of fear, or a place of, oh my God, my financial security is not okay. I don't know what to do, but more like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come up with a plan for myself and break it down and do one thing at a time. A lot of times overwhelm takes over and then you get nothing done. So one project at a time, always.
So what are the biggest fears that women face when starting over after 40 or 50?
The $1 billion question. Fear of disappearing, fear of relevance, fear of being dated, fear of not having enough energy, fear of just shriveling away. I am finding now in this next chapter, with some soul searching and really reframing a lot of this, that none of that has to be the case, but it does take a lot of effort. You have to be really honest with yourself, and you have to be very disciplined. I always say, one of my biggest phrases I always tell even my daughters, it's relevant for all ages, is discipline, restraint, rinse and repeat, discipline, restraint. I mean, without discipline, none of us will get anywhere. Discipline is the name of the game. It gets us moving, a little bit of stress, a little bit of endorphins. But I think that's always just have discipline with yourself and grace, and you just keep moving forward. Because if you're feeling sorry for yourself, that's okay for a minute or two, but you have to pull yourself out of it. Yeah, one day at a time.
So you describe reinvention as leadership. Can you unpack what that means?
I think there are leaders within everyone. So leadership is a bit of a loaded word for me, because I definitely, one of my favorite things is finding the next great leader. And I would say everyone that has ever worked with me, for me, or I've worked for them, I've always found some sort of wonderful leadership element in their ability. So I don't know. Leadership is a tough one for me because I just think all people have leadership within themselves. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's a tough one.
It's not an easy one to answer. So how did your background in branding and marketing shape the way that you've built the New Chapter Collective?
What I've done in my career for companies, I'm now doing for people. I had been doing a lot of it for executive CEOs, presidents of corporations, startups, both big and small. And it really got me thinking, how do I help people in terms of their personal brand platform show up their best selves and what that looks like?
Yeah, I love it. I work a lot with personal branding for women, and they have to forget that they're no longer the individual. They're a brand that has to go out there and be visible.
That's
And
exactly
be,
right. And even I've told some women I've worked with, if you have to separate yourself personally from yourself as the brand, that's okay.
yes.
It's like a performer. Do you think these singers, these pop stars, or that CEO of whatever company is always like that? No, it's a role, and we have many roles in life, and women need to understand that, and again, respect that. We have different positions, so yeah, the CEO role, the mom role, the
Yeah.
whatever role. So I definitely believe they can have different elements in our personas.
So why do you believe lived experience is such an undervalued asset in entrepreneurship?
You know, it's such it's really too bad because lived experience is lived experience. It's really what it says it is. And I do think there's a trend right now, and I hope it continues. I'm seeing lived experience have a bit more value right now, and I think it's because of the rise of AI that companies are really wanting people
Real
to have
people.
lived experiences and to really have those experiences to mentor their teams, the next generation. How do we become even more empathetic to what's happening with questioning with deep fakes? What is real today and what is real? And so I do think there's a moment now, again, where we can represent and be a really integral part of that conversation.
I love it. Now, what advice would you give to a woman who feels invisible after a career or family transition?
I would say, and I've had this a couple times with women over the years that have gone through something like this, including myself, that stop, think about what it is or a moment in your life that made you happiest. And maybe it was when you were 5. Hopefully it hasn't been that long ago. When something from your childhood memory that really made you happy. What is it that you enjoy? What were those moments that gave you peace? And to really figure out, shortlist what has given you joy or happiness or something that is positive, and then build upon that. I think that's the only way, because we have a definition that's a bit different for each of us. There's not a one size fits all for any of us. So I definitely think that that is a really good starting point.
I love that. Now, how can women turn disruption, loss, or uncertainty to innovation and impact?
Similarly to what I just answered on all different levels, thinking about where you spike and what your interests are. So even if you're going through a transition, that can be your superpower. Uh,
Yes.
and then everything clicks. Again, it's a lot of self-talk. And I almost believe in self-talk as much as manifestation, as it's saying, telling yourself if you're really enjoying something, you will succeed. Because if you keep that discipline and you keep working at it day in and day out, it will work. It just by default. And so hard work usually pays off. I constantly tell people, I don't know the exact percentage, but something like 80% just showing up is part of the battle. So I think just really thinking about where, and even where there's a need and what gets you excited.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have this big passion. I can't stand it when people say, just go after your passion. I personally don't believe that. I think if you're lucky enough to have that passion, I'm jealous. That's wonderful. I've had skill sets that I've really worked hard on to make better. I know what makes me happy and makes me not happy, which even took a minute to figure that out as well. But I think that if you can identify what makes you happy and turn that into either a hobby or a career or a job or something, that
Yes.
can really, really help.
I like that. Now, what are some of the common limiting beliefs that stop women from stepping into their next chapter?
Uh, Quite a few things. Number
Mhm.
one, a lot of women, if they haven't been in the workplace a long time, especially, maybe a mom that wants to get back in it after 17, 18 years of being a mother, it's very scary. Our world is changing so quickly. So again, going back to your interests, starting small, maybe taking a consulting gig or working for a friend or figuring out a way to slowly get back into the workplace. I really think each individual has their own interests and challenges and opportunities. So really looking at where you are today and putting those pieces together on what that framework will look like to really put something together. It also depends on what the individual wants to do. Do they want to work full time? Do they want to work part time? Do they want to volunteer? So each individual again is different, and it's just really kind of an eye on the prize. Again, that I always keep going back to, that discipline is just thinking about what you enjoy or a hobby. I mean, I have my cousin who's so incredible. She owned a flower store for 20 years, closed it, and then wasn't sure what to do, but loved styling her friends. So I encouraged her to ask her friends if any of them would hire her for her services. And now she has 7 clients. And so I'm so
Oh,
proud.
wow.
She's really good at it. She took a hobby and she made it a job. And now
Yes.
she
Yes.
is making money again. She's so excited and she's doing what she loves. So again, a lot of what we love, we can turn into a job. You hear about all these incredible entrepreneurs that they loved baking cupcakes, and then they started a cupcake store, and then it became a chain or whatever. I just really think,
Yes.
or they danced and then they started a dance school. And so I just think about what you're interested in, and you can perhaps turn it into, and with the help of ChatGPT or one of these machine learning, Claude or whatever, you can talk to them and workshop it out to create a business plan. So it's one of the
Mhm.
most exciting times to be able to start a business.
Yeah, I love it. So, how important is community when navigating reinvention?
I think community in this day and age is everything. I think you can get community from your friends. I think you can get community from paid groups, from meetups, from family, from local sports groups, whatever community you choose to be in. I think it's imperative to leading a healthy life. I think without people, if we're just talking to an LLM or whatever, I think we will be a doomed society. So I think wherever community feels right, you should seek it out and nurture it consistently. Or a book club. Yeah, that's another community. I love, I've had my book club for almost 20 years. I love it. It's such a
Oh,
joy.
I love that.
Or a restaurant club or a movie club or start a club, but I think people need people, and that will never go out of style.
Yeah, that is so true. So, what does success look like in this season of your life compared to the earlier chapters?
This season is very surprising to me. I had an open mind, which was what I thought I wanted, I didn't want. And the reason why I know that is inside I wasn't feeling good about it. So a friend
Wow.
of mine, again, community, a friend of mine from high school recommended a role that I'm now doing. I love it so much that I'm actually doing it almost full time, and I've been consulting for a while. I just love it, love it, love it. It's all the things that I love to do creatively and professionally. So this chapter looks like a lot of creative work, and it's bringing me joy. And then I have cohorts with different women on what their next chapter looks like. So I'm helping these groups of women reframe their next chapters too, which has been such fun. And we officially launched, I told you, the course this weekend on Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. So tell us a little bit more about the launch and what you're working towards and what people can expect.
So the launch, like I mentioned, is on Mother's Day, because another reason I started this was for my daughters too. My mom, unfortunately, passed away almost 20 years ago, and I never had any footage of her. And so I pre-recorded quite a few pieces of this course. And so I just thought, what a great way as a legacy for my daughters to have something of me, to not only be teaching this course that I fundamentally believe in reframing, reinventing, and being your best self, but also we have a podcast that I have with my best friend who I used to run a nonprofit with, whose daughter is also great friends with my daughter. So it's so fun. We just talk to really interesting women doing great things in their next chapters. So I'm really grateful to be able to launch this on Mother's Day officially, in honor of my children and in honor of all moms around the world.
That is just beautiful. So everybody can look out for this. It's coming on Mother's Day, which is really exciting. And if you could go back and have a conversation with the younger you, this young woman who was going through a transition, not quite sure how to figure things out, if you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. 3 nuggets of wisdom. Number 1, always have gratitude in everything you do. Number 2, never be late. And number 3, show up prepared and never take advantage of anything you have today, because it may not be here tomorrow.
I love that. Beautiful reminders. And if I teleport you into the future as my last question, and we're going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. She's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her family, her friends. If I could take you into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
The wise woman, I would say, God, you had such a good life and you treated people really well. And what a gift. And you had love and you mothered so I don't know, so motherly, so lovingly. And you had a great career of creativity and you launched so many great campaigns that people remember. And life can really be a beautiful thing.
I love that. I love asking women that last question because a lot of us forget that the wise woman is already in us. That she is that little quiet voice, right? That whispers, go left, go right, say yes, say no. But we look outside of ourselves for answers all the time.
I agree with that so much.
And it sounds like you're really in tune with your wise woman. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience with our community today. Absolutely beautiful to have you on them.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who is feeling stuck and you're looking for support, here's an expert who can handhold you through this phase of your life. Be part of a community that supports you as well. Or if you know somebody who is struggling, please tag them on this video, share this on your social media, and help us reach more people as well. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.